Good morning, and thank you, David. And to your speech, I say amen. Now you need to make sure that you're in your seats, your seat belts are buckled, your tray tables are in their stowed away and in their locked upright position, because I'm about to make a historic statement, one that has never been spoken in the history of Convocation at Cal Poly Pomona. Are you ready? Happy Wednesday! In all seriousness, this is a happy day. In September of 1972, the three women on the screen, Nancy Doherty, Sandy Davis, and Delia Leon, were beginning their first year as university employees. I'd like to say that they went to Convocation, but that year it appeared President Robert Kramer delivered his message exclusively to deans, directors, and department chairs at Kellogg West. By the way, the breakfast was $1.75 and you could buy your tickets at the door. I don't know everything he said that day, but I can guarantee that my speech today will be far more interesting. This is a special day for Nancy, Sandy, and Delia because they are earning their 40-year pins at the Service Awards ceremony. This is an incredible accomplishment and worthy of a celebration. And as you can tell by my full head of dark hair, I was just a small child in 1972. But today I'm proud to be part of one of the best legacy events in higher education. I hope you will join me at the leadership of Staff Council later this morning when we recognize all of these honorees. I also guarantee the breakfast we got today was far superior to the $1.75 model of 1972. As always, I want to say thank you to our team at Kellogg West under the culinary leadership of Jose Rodriguez for preparing today's meal, and a special thanks to Dan Hostetler for providing the best orange juice in the land from the farm store. And Paul Story for their continued support of this event. Next month, my First Lady will be getting her 30-year pin as we celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. I have been happy to share her with you for those 9 years since we've been here. She never tires of singing your praises. Please join me in recognizing your First Lady and mine, Betty Fay. And if anybody wonders what preoccupies our time away from the university, let me direct your attention to the screen. Our grandson, Carter Pate Guyot, is now 7 months old. So if I'm going to have any influence on him, I better get busy. This weekend, I'm going to give him his second lesson in learning how to drive Bronco 1. I know that all of you are anxiously awaiting for the day when my Convocation news on the budget skews more toward the positive than the negative. Well, you and I both. But keeping you informed, good news or bad, has been among my highest priorities. Almost every week throughout the academic year, I appear on your desktop with a video message and not only address what has been happening in Sacramento and the Chancellor's office, but even more importantly, I share the success stories of our faculty, staff, and students. Our approach has been different from many other campuses, and the feedback has been positive. While nobody likes bad news, everyone seems to appreciate a transparent assessment of our situation, understanding the real challenges that we face. So where do we stand today? Well, not far from where I left you in June. The budget that was signed by the governor in late June had a few wrinkles, including a trailer bill that addressed the possibility of buying out the scheduled student tuition increase for this year. But as far as the CSU is concerned, everything is predicated on what happens November 6th. Proposition 30 is the lead initiative on the ballot, and it will have a huge impact on us. If this measure passes, our funding situation will be more solidified than it has been in several years. It will allow us to truly plan on areas ranging from enrollment to instruction to personnel. The passage of Proposition 30 would be a huge win for our current and future students. But if it fails, the CSU would receive another $250 million cut. That equates to roughly $12 million taken from Cal Poly Pomona. Today is a call to action. We need everyone, and I mean everyone, to understand the impact of this measure and to vote accordingly. Every faculty member, staff, student, every alumnus, every friend, every parent, anybody who cares about the future of education in California, from K-12 to the community colleges to our four-year public universities. Everyone needs to look closely at Proposition 30 and its impact on the state. Later today, the CSU Board of Trustees will announce the hard outcomes if Proposition fails. One of those could include a 5% mid-year increase in student tuition. We need to share those realities with anybody and everybody. Our leadership in ASI will be working hard on the student vote. They are already planning on a polling booth on campus, as well as voter registration opportunities. In fact, they are currently staffing a booth in the foyer outside Ursa Major. There are roughly 450,000 students in the CSU, as well as tens of thousands of faculty and staff. This is a significant voting bloc. Each of you has the power to impact this election, one way or the other. On November 6th, let's hope that everyone on campus is wearing one of those stickers. And I would like to apologize to Dee Dee Wells, the president of the CFA. I had spoken to her and told her I would give her an opportunity to stress the importance of Proposition 30, and I failed to do so as I prepared this speech, and I really want to apologize for my oversight. I'm sorry, Dee Dee, it won't happen again. On a related note, each of you received a message from the Chancellor's Office this summer offering some draconian predictions, including cuts to compensation. Now listen to me carefully. I want you all to relax. Unless something happens well beyond my control, I have no reason to believe that we will head down that path. For many years, we have been extremely prudent with our spending. Each of you has shouldered the load while we limited new hires. Our procurement spending is way down, and of course, we have not received any compensation increase for 5 years or over 5 years. The result is that we are prepared for any reasonable scenario. So take a deep breath, smile, and keep up your great work. That brings my budget message to a close. But let's keep talking about some good stuff. In the midst of the worst fiscal era since the Great Depression, we continue to make great progress on the $150 million comprehensive campaign. It remains one of the most important things we are doing for this and future generations of Cal Poly Pomona students. So let me direct your attention to the big screen to find out where we are today in the campaign. As you can see, we have raised over $106 million, and our plan is to complete the campaign during our 75th anniversary, which is the 13-14 academic year. The campaign remains a source of pride across the campus. One of the things that has made it special are the gifts that we have received from retired members of the university community. Last year, I shared the story behind the Alan Felser Scholarship, named after the late professor in electronic and computer engineering. Earlier this year, Peter Castro, professor emeritus of biological sciences, signed a $1.5 million bequest, the largest gift ever to the College of Science, to endow 2 scholarships as well as establish an environmental science scholar in residence. The funds are designed to inspire environmentally conscious students to pursue research projects that benefit the natural world. The Scholar in Residence program will bring in visiting faculty for teaching and research. Another great story is George and Barrett Schmitz. George was a longtime faculty member in plant and soil sciences dating back to the 1960s. He passed away in 2008, but his widow, Barrett, worked with our team in advancement to establish an endowed scholarship honoring George. In addition, the couple planned to leave an additional gift resulting in a $400,000 gift from Barrett's estate. These are just 3 examples of people who are passionate about Cal Poly Pomona and our students. I want to honor and thank the Felsers, Peter Castro, as well as the Schmitz family for advancing our academic mission. Let's also not forget our great friends in the community. This week, the CSU Board of Trustees, at the CSU Board of Trustees meeting, actually as I speak, we presented the schematic design plans for a $10 million building expansion of the Collins College. The 15,000 square foot facility will feature 2 two-story buildings and will be Gold LEED certified or higher. This project will be built exclusively with non-state private funds, thanks to the generous gifts from Jim and Carol Collins, Andrew and Peggy Churn, Collins alumnus Eugene Park, and Marriott Foundation, as well as Richard and Mary Alice Frank. We expect to break ground 1 year from now with a completion target of spring 2015. I'd also like to share that construction has started on the new Bronco Recreation and Intramural Complex, which is expected to be open in the fall of 2014. The new facility will encompass 120,000 square feet and include basketball and racquetball courts, a rock climbing wall, an outdoor swimming pool, as well as an indoor jogging track. It will also provide students more than 200 employment and internship opportunities and is on track, no pun intended, to be a highly efficient LEED Gold certified facility. The new brick is completely funded by the Bronco Student Center fee by students, and it won't cost them anything until the facility is open for business. Now, how many of you were at Convocation 4 years ago? Raise your hands. Well, if you were there, you certainly remember this amazing moment. Perhaps the only thing that got more attention than Kim's performance at Beijing was the fact that someone broke into her father's truck a couple of weeks ago and stole her competition Perazzi shotgun. This was the gun Kim had used in all 4 Olympic Games. When this hit the news, I heard from a number of our friends asking what we could do to help. Kim has been an extraordinary ambassador to Cal Poly Pomona, including donating her time to our development efforts. She is one of ours. So we were able to reach out to Perazzi and their local representative, Mr. Lucio Sosta. Lucio, would you join us? Thanks to the support of anonymous donors to the university and Kim's longtime relationship with Perazzi, we have a special surprise. On behalf of the Cal Poly Pomona community and Perazzi, we're proud to present you a brand new Perazzi 2000S competition shotgun. May you always find gold in your sights.
Just thank you so much, and I really am speechless at this point. I just hope that I can win as many gold medals with that gun as I did with the other, so thank you.
Well, Kim was quite prophetic that day. As you've certainly heard, she made Olympic history last month in London, winning a gold medal in the women's skeet shooting competition. Her record-setting performance made her the first American to win individual medals in 5 consecutive Olympics. Kim missed only one of 100 shots, tying a world record and setting the Olympic mark. And the gun that got her the gold, you guessed it, the very one we presented 4 years ago. I spoke with Kim in mid-August after she got back from England, and she wanted me to share two things. The first is that she is just 2 courses shy of her degree in food marketing and plans on enrolling this quarter. And the other is how she values the love and support that Cal Poly Pomona has extended to her through this journey, and she hopes to be on campus very soon. Speaking of success stories, let me now segue into the university's highest priority, the graduation initiative. I want to be clear that our goal is not merely to move students quickly to graduation, but to ensure student learning and success. I'm pleased to say that the steps we have taken are bearing fruit. One way to help ensure student success is to understand which students are having difficulty and the source of that difficulty. We have a powerful new tool to do so, the Student Success Dashboard. This user-friendly database allows us to identify patterns of performance and to then act on those patterns. I encourage you to visit the dashboard to get a picture of how well your department is serving your students. The Graduation Initiative implemented 2 projects this past academic year to increase student success. Dora Lee and Rose Kukla in Student Affairs launched My Bar, a record of students' club memberships, leadership roles, campus employment, and other on-campus activities. Students can use this co-curricular transcript to gain an advantage for internships, graduate schools, and jobs, while advisors can use it to evaluate student engagement. To improve student progress in the classroom, academic departments were invited to explore ways to boost student performance without sacrificing standards. I want to thank Steve McCauley in Physics and Astronomy, Chris Chen in Mechanical Engineering, and Ziki Alyazi-Glu in Electrical and Computer Engineering, and members of their departments for critically assessing how to improve their student success in so-called bottleneck courses. This fall, these departments will apply what they have learned and will share their findings with the university community. As you can see, the Graduation Initiative is truly moving forward. By analyzing and acting on data, by fostering student engagement, and by providing superb teaching and advising, we can significantly improve student success. But we need the entire university community, students, staff, and faculty to participate in this most significant endeavor. In the coming year, enrollment services, together with the advising task force, will set up an early alert system to identify and contact students who are at risk academically. A committee of faculty, staff, and students, led by Dale Turner of Philosophy, is exploring the idea of learning communities to increase students' academic and social connection with the campus. The committee that led the year of advising is analyzing the comments it received during numerous meetings with groups on campus and will soon share its findings and recommendations. All of these efforts will need your ideas, your input, your participation. So please take time to check out the Graduation Initiative website, share your ideas, and join in the process. It truly is a team effort. Last March, the College of Engineering hosted the Pacific Southwest Conference and Competition. The event included about 1,000 civil engineering students from 18 universities in Central and Southern California, Southern Nevada, Arizona, and Hawaii. Our students were stellar, placing first in this regional competition and later first nationally. In January, we dedicated our engineering wind tunnel complex, supported by more than $3.5 million of external funding. This instrument is a major asset for teaching and research in the college. Our cyber defense program in the College of Business Administration received a significant boost in May. We received a gift of nearly $350,000 from Southern California Edison, worldwide technology, and Cisco to establish the SCE Virtual Information Assurance Laboratory. CIS Professor Dan Manson's cyber team also delivered in the field, capturing its 4th consecutive Western Regional Cyber Defense Championship in March. The faculty in the College of Science were awarded almost $5 million in nationally competitive grants and published 75 peer-reviewed papers, including 2 in the prestigious journal Nature. In addition, demonstrating the teacher-scholar model, students in science were authors on 35 peer-reviewed papers and 28 other publications. The College of Environmental Design received a marvelous gift from an alumna literally to advance the college. This year, architecture alumna Juliana Tarian, co-founder of Nouvelle Vue and the former chair of the Raleigh Automotive Group, pledged $2.5 million to ENV. But she also made another remarkable donation, which will produce a new biannual magazine for the ENV community, as well as develop a new web presence. The first edition of Link magazine, expected to be released in early November, will help elevate the work of our faculty, alumni, and students in the design fields, creating a richly deserved national presence for our programs. Dr. Iris Levine, the professor and chair of the Department of Music, won the Women in Theater's Red Carpet Award for distinguished service to the theatrical arts in the greater Los Angeles community. This award went to Dr. Levine as co-founder and artistic director of Vox Femina Los Angeles, a women's choral group which gives voice to a myriad of women's issues worldwide. Last month, we watched as the NASA rover Curiosity landed on Mars. The nearby Jet Propulsion Laboratory was a major player in this historic project. Of the 17 CSU alumni working on the project at JPL, almost half were Cal Poly Pomona graduates. The engineers and scientists involved had a variety of roles in the effort, which earned the team a call from President Barack Obama. The Bronco 8 included electrical engineers Echo Burt, software engineers Kwai Ho and Michael Kayanan, integration and test engineer Jose Guzman, design engineer Alfred Kashaki, and senior mechanical engineer Ted Iskandarian, EDL activity lead Martin Greco, and mission planner Peter Zeprasu. When I arrived on campus 10 years ago, I was in the market for a new car. But after driving on South Campus Drive, I thought about buying a tank. But not anymore. Over the summer, we have seen a complete renovation to South Campus all the way from Temple to Ridgeway. While the asphalt was hot, they also applied a new surface on Temple Avenue from Valley to University Avenue. Wow, what a change. Our team in facilities management worked closely with the City of Pomona and other public agencies to make this happen at no cost to Cal Poly Pomona. I know I speak for suspension systems across the campus when I say thank you. Speaking of construction, 2 high-profile entities will get a facelift this year. Not a building or facility, but the university logo and web presence. These are 2 separate initiatives that are running on parallel tracks under the stewardship of our communication professionals and the web teams in I&IT. Our current logo was developed in the early 1990s with a direct link to a certain building on campus. See if you can guess which one. Since the future of that building is less than bright, it's only appropriate that we develop a new campus image that better represents our community. We engaged a talented group of students in our art program under the leadership of Professor Babette Mayer to develop some models. Over the summer, those ideas were vetted by a number of constituents, including alumni, faculty, students, and even the local community. A lot of work remains, but we expect to introduce our new logo late this year. The new website will be the outcome of a process that actually began last winter when the IT Governance Web Committee began work on the usability analysis of our homepage and other high-profile sites. This was done from the perspective of current and future students. You see, students, especially prospective students, are the single highest priority when it comes to the web. Josh Keller in the Chronicle of Higher Education cites this startling statistic, quote, "A quarter of prospective students decide not to apply to a college because of a bad experience on a college's website," end quote. We are now moving forward on a site redesign that will allow for a campus-wide content management system. The first phase will include the home page and those sites with high student demand, including financial aid, admissions, and the registrar. This project will be done systematically, so don't expect every site on campus to change overnight, but we are going to get there. A university with the national prestige of Cal Poly Pomona deserves a stellar web presence. I look forward to sharing news of the progress in the months ahead. The Cal Poly Pomona Foundation, wanting to keep you very well nourished, will introduce Qdoba Mexican Grill to the Bronco Student Center this October. Also, the completion of the Business Administration Complex is accompanied by the new Einstein Brothers Bagels and Pony Express. One of the real strengths of the university is our stellar group of student athletes. They win on the playing field, and they also are stars in the classroom. 4 teams had cumulative grade point averages north of 3.0. Cross-country athletes Tiffany Din and Diana Zapata, women's basketball standouts Rosalind Beard and Megan Ford, Clark Selters from men's cross-country, and Michelle Nava from the women's soccer team earned all academic All-America honors. And 5 student athletes were named to their respective national All-America teams, including Tiffany Din, Megan Ford, Luis Gonzalez in men's soccer, Jeff Broussard in baseball, and Jacob Devers in men's track and field. We continue to make great strides in contracts and grants. The total grant and contract expenditures exceeded $13 million. Of special note was the 3-year, $1.5 million grant renewal for stem cell education and research from the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine. Building on a previous grant, the award will increase opportunities for both science and non-science majors to learn about stem cells in their coursework. The Getty Foundation also awarded a $140,000 grant to the College of Environmental Design to fund a faculty-student team to plan and prepare an exhibit on the post-war house in Southern California. At the end of the day, we are a learning-centered, student-focused university, and our primary constituents have faced an onslaught of rising costs almost each and every year. While we don't control tuition, we have been asking how we can use technology to offset some costs. Cal Poly Pomona continues to offer innovative and affordable course material options. Our campus has 2 exciting new programs featuring digital textbooks for the fall quarter. As a part of the CSU Rent Digital program, the Bronco Bookstore is offering students over 400 titles at 60% or more off of the new book price when they rent ebook versions. I'm also proud to say that Cal Poly Pomona is one of 25 universities across the country participating in an ebook pilot program that will supply up to 800 students with ebooks this year. This is in collaboration with 2 nonprofit organizations, EduCause and Internet2. Rather than purchasing the books, students enrolled in the participating classes will have the ebook automatically loaded into their Blackboard class site. Through this pilot program, the beta students will receive free ebooks. We will evaluate the program over the course of the year to determine if a campus site license is appropriate. Since my arrival, we have spent a portion of Convocation celebrating and recognizing the efforts of our faculty, staff, and students. But every year, we feel the loss of friends and colleagues who passed away. Let's take a moment as we share the name and face of a member of our family who will not be with us today.
Greg Carr, Landscape Services.
Our educational model truly values the input and contributions of students. I'm proud to introduce the two individuals who will lead our student body this academic year. Please join me in welcoming ASI President Chris Oswala and Vice President Christine Hall. It is also my pleasure to introduce new or newly appointed members of our leadership team. Let me welcome a couple of deans who have recently begun their appointments. In the College of Science, would you please welcome Dr. Brian Jersky. Brian joins the university family after having served on the faculty at Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia. And in the College of the Extended University, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Howard Evans. Most recently, Howard served as Director of Academic Development and Research at the International Education Management in San Diego. On that note, I also want to thank Mandayam Srinivas in Science and Jerry Chesser in the CEU for their stellar leadership during these transitions. We had expected to have a new dean named for the College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences, but that search process will continue this year. Interim Dean Sharon Hillis has agreed to stay at the helm for this coming year. Thank you, Sharon. And finally, an additional vice president will be joining the leadership team. Unfortunately, it's President Tomas Morales' team at Cal State San Bernardino, as Dr. Ron Fremont assumes the role of vice president for advancement next month. Ron has been Along with his day job, Ron has been in charge of Fall Conference, Pizza with the Presidents, the Monday Message, the campaign gala, the campaign video, and many other events. His fingerprints are all over this campus in terms of his contributions, and I wish him all the best in his new role. He will be missed. Today we begin the academic year with, believe it or not, 32 new faculty and 17 new staff. As is our practice, all of our new faculty and staff have a name tag as well as green ribbon under their fall conference pin. This is a great way to identify each of them and personally welcome them to campus. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand and be recognized? For me, the best part of Convocation is the opportunity to celebrate the great work and accomplishments of our faculty and staff. In June, Professor Denboer introduced the 2012 class of the Provost Awards, designed to recognize outstanding faculty accomplishments in the areas of teaching, service, and scholarly and creative activities. To learn more about these three distinguished members of the Academy, let me direct your attention to the screen.
The Provost Award is the highest honor that the university can bestow on a member of our faculty. It's an outstanding achievement in a career of excellence and service to the Academy. I would like to recognize our 2012 honorees. Dr. Ed Walton for excellence in teaching, Dr. Jill Adler-Moore for excellence in scholarship, and Dr. Faye Wax for excellence in service.
I used to think that teaching was about presenting the chemistry and then seeing if they learned it. And now to me, teaching is like developing people. It's not just about teaching chemistry, it's about helping people become the professionals they're going to be.
I think what sets Dr. Walton apart from other faculty would be his teaching style and the way that he interacts with the students.
Above all else, I think Dr. Walton really gets to know the students as a person and get to know, what makes them, what motivates them, and really come up with a strategy to help them get from the start of the quarter to the end of the quarter and achieve their goals.
Professor's a nice title to use, but I think the teaching is what we do. And so I'd rather call myself a teacher than a professor. And really excellent teachers do inspire somehow, and maybe that's something we can all sort of reach for while we do our work.
Watching Dr. Walton teach, it's more of an art form. But I think just like going to a symphony, watching a professional athlete perform, and that even if you can't do it as well as he can, it's worth a shot. And I think that's what really draws students in that it feels like it's a show, but they're able to relate to it and really understand the things that he's saying.
I think Dr. Walton's legacy would be to bring enjoyment to the classroom and to make students want to learn more and go further in life.
I think that you are sort of remembered by the impact you made on people. So every student that benefited from something that I did, that is remembrance enough.
Well, I think service is really what makes the university run. And when I came here, one of my goals was not just to go and teach my classes, but to get involved in the development of the curriculum in our department and across the campus. Because if you don't update your curriculum, if you don't keep things fresh, your field will stagnate. And so I think things like that people really don't realize are vital to keeping the university up to date and current with what's going on in the world and really serving the needs of our students.
For me personally, Faye's drive towards service has made a big difference in my experience here at Cal Poly.
I think it was Rabbi Hillel that said, if not me, who? If not now, when? And again, it's just how I sort of, my philosophy towards life is, if you want the world to be a better place, do something about it.
It's great to have teachers that move beyond the classroom, setting an example for other students to get involved.
Professor Wax is the full package when it comes to a faculty member. She is really what we all aspire, but don't usually reach, in that she is someone that students can rely on. She's someone that faculty can rely on. She's someone that the college relies on.
We have a world that has a lot of problems. Our students are the solution. And if they don't make the difference in the world, nobody's going to. Well, in order for them to do that, we have to make a difference for them.
Faculty research benefits the university because it keeps its faculty engaged and exciting and giving the opportunity for the students to learn cutting-edge work, which they're going to need when they go out into the world, and it also brings in money.
So the money that Jill's brought in has helped in terms of purchasing equipment, purchasing supplies. It's supported students in the order of about $15 million that she's personally brought in to support basic and applied research.
Dr. Adler does everything to help people. It's not just for money or for the name. It's because she really does care. You know, she just has a really good heart.
I've been able to see the actual application of what we've discovered and seen how much it's helped people live longer and live better lives.
Jill is a role model for her students, and she's really a role model for other faculty as well, because she does everything so well, and when you work with people like that, you aspire to be more like her.
Research, it challenges you to think critically, it challenges you to be creative, it challenges you to think outside the box, And I think all of those things together keep you energized and keep you asking the next question.
I'm Ed Walton, and I teach here at Cal Poly Pomona.
I'm Professor Faye Wax, and I touch lives inside and outside the classroom.
I am Jill Adler-Moore, and I'm a teacher scholar.
I want to recognize Trevor Henderson along with the teams in Public Affairs and Media Vision for pulling this video together. Well done. Celebrating the work of the Academy is at the core of this honor. On Thursday, November afternoon, October 25th, we will hold a reception for these 3 distinguished faculty members. Details will be forthcoming, but I hope you hold the date on your calendar. I spoke earlier about the graduation initiative, and when it comes to turning our students into alumni, few things have a greater impact than the quality of advisement. I'm always proud to recognize those individuals that have been honored with the title of Outstanding Advisor. Here are our 2012 honorees.
The Outstanding Advisors for 2011-12. Nancy Merlino, Food Marketing and Agribusiness Management, College of Agriculture. Mei-Hua Ku, Accounting, College of Business Administration. Edward Merritt, Collins College of Hospitality Management. Anita Jane, Ethnic and Women's Studies, College of Education and Integrative Studies. Masu Musavi, Engineering Technology, College of Engineering. Melissa Flicker, Art, College of Environmental Design. Edward Rockland, English and Foreign Languages, College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences. Pamela Sperry, Biological Sciences, College of Science. Sarah Turnbull, Student Services, College of Science. Maria Rivera Duncan, Graduate Prep and Special Population, Student Support and Equity Programs. And the Outstanding Advising Program awardee is Credentials Services Office, College of Education and Integrative Studies.
Each year, select university faculty are confirmed by their colleagues to earn the right of tenure, thus becoming lifetime members of the university family. In 2012, 27 individuals received this honor, with some also earning promotion to professor or associate professor. Let's now acknowledge them.
Receiving tenure and promotion to professor, Dr. William Kitch, Civil Engineering. Dr. Nora Lee Pernalete, Engineering Technology. Receiving tenure and promotion to associate professor, Dr. Gregory Carlton, Computer Information Systems. Dr. Kristen Conway Gomez, Geography and Anthropology. Dr. Liam Corley, English and Foreign Languages. Dr. Kent Dixon, English and Foreign Languages. Dr. Kevin Farmer, Management and Human Resources. Dr. Hen Gilly Eloise, Interdisciplinary General Education. Dr. Jill Hargis, Political Science. Dr. Jim Hu, International Business and Marketing. Dr. Myron J. Lee, Hospitality Management. Raymond Camp, Art. Dr. Mei-Hua Ku, Accounting. Alyssa Lang, Art. Dr. A. Christopher Lappin, Biological Sciences. Dr. Eddie Mao, Hospitality Management. Dr. Georgia Mickey, History. Dr. Susan Mully, Landscape Architecture. Dr. Nadia Spachenko-Gutzman, Music. Dr. Alexander Small, Physics and Astronomy. Dr. Daisy Tang, Computer Science. Dr. Angel Valdez, Biological Sciences. Charles Julian White, Theater and New Dance. Dr. Anna Woolke, History. Dr. Eva Shu, Technology and Operations Management. Dr. Wenge Shu, Technology and Operations Management. Receiving tenure, Dr. Yasha Paulette, Geological Sciences.
Congratulations to each of you. One of my favorite days of the year is Staff Appreciation Day. Not only does it give us a chance to give and honor our staff, but we also get to hear about our 4 special individuals and their extraordinary impact on our students and their departments. It's very humbling when you learn how these people have dedicated their lives to Cal Poly Pomona. Join me in saluting the 2011-12 outstanding staff.
Jorge Bonilla, Division of Student Affairs, Information and Technology Services. Sarah Campos, Intercollegiate Athletics. Kevin Malone, College of Education and Integrative Studies. Jesse Keyrose, Facilities Management.
Last year, I spent some time in this speech addressing emergency preparedness. For a number of years, we have relied on our safety alert system to alert you in the event of an emergency. A special task force was created to review our emergency communication protocol. Let me direct your attention to the very bold image on the screen above. This is Alert Us, a new protocol by which we can pop an emergency message onto every desktop computer on campus. Every office, every classroom, every lab computer. We conducted a pilot study in May and found that the desktop message can arrive faster than campus phones or even email. And here's a part that made Ed Barnes happy. The entire software package was donated to the university, including a lifetime of patches and upgrades. As I speak, that's worthy of the... As I speak, our team in INIT is working on getting this installed on every possible machine. We expect to be done in the coming weeks. And now I'm proud to announce the 16th recipient of the George P. Hart Award. The Hart Award recognizes faculty members who are regarded as role models and leaders on campus and in the community. Our 2012 honoree has taught for 25 years at the university, establishing her as a campus leader of many talents. On the department level, she served as chair and graduate coordinator, overseeing significant growth of the program and major restructuring of the undergraduate and graduate majors. On the college level, she served as chair of the RTP committee and the First College Assessment Committee. She has been an academic senator, serving on the executive committee and academic affairs committee, and chairing the faculty affairs committee. Our recipient was also the faculty co-chair of the very first University Budget Committee. She also champions justice and welcomes challenges, having taught a wide range of graduate and undergraduate economics classes. Female and underrepresented students have found her to be an advocate, and she has devoted an extraordinary amount of time as a mentor for junior faculty. What is also unusual is that she cannot be here today, but technology is a marvelous thing. Let me direct your attention to the screen and our live feed from our bureau office in St. Basil's Cathedral in the heart of downtown Moscow. Please welcome the 2012 George P. Hart Award winner, Dr. Maureen Burton. Congratulations, Maureen.
Thank you, Dr. Ortiz. I am humbled and thrilled to be the 2012 recipient of the George P. Hart Award for Outstanding Faculty Leadership. I would like to thank Willie, D.D. Wells, and Bruce Brown for nominating me, and I would like to thank the committee of the previous 15 recipients for selecting me. It is indeed quite daring to be a part of such a distinguished group. Even more daunting are my remembrances of George himself. I was a junior faculty member when George recruited me to be an academic senator, and I served on the Senate along with him. His influence over me and his legacy of faculty governance has persisted to this day. I was inspired by George's view of the faculty's role in the university. You see, George believed that the faculty were the university and that faculty governance was necessary to maintain the integrity of the institution. By this, I believe that George meant that it was all important for faculty to determine academic standards, curricula, and the teaching and learning environment. To this end, he worked tirelessly and leaves the inspiring legacy of faculty governance that is so apparent on our campus. Not only was George a great faculty advocate, but he was an incredibly collegial human being. Despite the challenges, he always treated others with respect, compassion, and civility. Today, we are faced with unprecedented challenges, and I have reflected on what George would think and what avenues of engagement he would pursue. Issues primarily created by the ongoing budget crisis in the CSU threaten the quality of education and the mission and integrity of the institution. In this environment, faculty are striving to maintain active scholarly and professional lives. Given this situation, what would George do? To this end, I have concluded that George would challenge faculty to collaborate in a collegial way with all constituencies of the university, including faculty, administrators, students, and the community at large, to find solutions that maximize student learning outcomes and the intellectual life of the university. For George, it would be critical that the dominant role of the faculty in shared governance be preserved and strengthened. Moreover, I believe that George would be proactive in exposing and repelling the nationwide attacks on academic freedom of recent years in order to preserve the academy as we know it. As we all feel overwhelmed by the daunting nature of the challenges we face, George also would have felt overwhelmed. However, knowing the Cal Poly faculty as I do, I know that current campus leaders look to the legacy of George and will strive to live up to the ideals and values that he embraced. Thank you again for this wonderful award. I cannot stress how humbled and thrilled I am to receive it. From Russia with love.
In June of 2011, we announced the inaugural grant recipients of the Kellogg Legacy Project Endowment, a direct outcome of the $42 million gift from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. The endowment is designed to strengthen student success programs, improve support for faculty teaching and scholarly innovation, and expand relations with our external communities. Our intent is to distribute earnings from the endowment and make annual awards to projects that reflect the spirit and passion of Mr. Kellogg and the foundation. But in 2012, endowment earnings were negatively impacted by the performance of Wall Street. The university has the fiduciary responsibility to maintain the value of the endowment and ensure sustainability. As such, we elected to suspend funding new programs and focus resources on the multi-year proposals that were approved last year. We did receive the next $8 million installment and hope to award funding in the coming year. The first year allowed for 25 unique programs to receive funding. I want to take a few moments and celebrate the outcomes of a handful of those that made remarkable progress. The Parent Institute for Quality Education graduated 830 economically disadvantaged and underserved parents from the Parent Engagement Education Program. This has significantly enhanced the academic achievement of more than 2,000 at-risk students in San Gabriel, Pomona, and Chino Valley areas. The African American and Native American Student Success Initiatives continue to enhance the diversity of our student body and the educational experience of all students by increasing the number of African American and Native American students. Support for the Boots to Broncos veteran transition has allowed us to create a Veterans Resource Center. The articulation of military training and experience is a complex matter. The student will allow for a greater focus on this and other issues relating to the reintegration of veterans into the academic community. They certainly deserve it. We had a phenomenal year with public speakers, including national personalities such as Angela Davis, Cornel West, Temple Grandin, and Richard Saul Warman. The Kellogg Distinguished Public Lecture Series offered 2 unique presentations, including National Academy of Sciences member Dr. Roger Beachy and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Isabel Wilkerson. All of the appearances were put online for public viewing. I want to congratulate the ongoing efforts of everyone involved with the Kellogg Legacy Project. I look forward to sharing new outcomes throughout the year and hope to be able to fund more in the coming year. Last year at this time, I launched a campus dialogue focused on what teaching will look like in the coming decades and whether we are ready for that challenge. This led to a series of events and conversations, ones that included national experts on teaching and technology, as well as inventive practices of our own faculty. The capstone event occurred last April with the inaugural PolyTeach Symposium. More than 150 faculty and staff took part in this conference dedicated to the expanding use of technology in learning. The highlights included several presentations by 7 of our innovative faculty members on teaching practices ranging from the use of Skype to social media to digital animation. It's the type of dialogue that must continue, and I am proud of the work of everyone who made this possible. We're going to keep this train on track. The PolyTeach Committee, under the leadership of Dean Michael Wu, is planning another major spring event. In addition, the Kellogg Distinguished Public Lecture Series will host educator and entrepreneur Salman Khan on Tuesday, November 13, right here in Ursa Major. For those of you unfamiliar with Mr. Khan, he is the founder of the Khan Academy, a nonprofit with the mission of providing free, high-quality education to anyone, anywhere in the world. The Academy is rethinking the world of education with more than 3,000 instructional videos, 300 exercises, and 3.7 million unique users per month. This is an incredible opportunity to hear from someone on the forefront of this national and international movement. As you know, we're doing things a little differently this week. Instead of hosting a get-together later at the Manor House, Betty and I invite you to join Dean Richard Lapidus and the College of Business Administration community, as well as donors and alumni, for a special event this Friday at 3 p.m. Together, we will host the dedication celebration for the college's beautiful new complex. And after I'm done this morning, we will segue into the Service Awards ceremony beginning at 10 a.m. Beginning at 10:20. Everyone needs to stick around just to find out what they're going to say about Sandy. And this Saturday, you can show your Bronco pride and celebrate Cal Poly Pomona Day at the Los Angeles County Fair. Last year, we had more participants on our day at the fair than all of the other universities combined. Students, faculty, and staff will receive free admission when they show their Bronco ID and a printable coupon. Just visit Polycentric for more details and wear your green and gold. A year from now, we will celebrate our 75th anniversary year, one of the most significant milestones a university can experience. Teams from across campus have been preparing for what will be a one-of-a-kind celebration of our academic mission, spread across the entire 2013-14 year. Every college and division is represented, so reach out to your colleagues and learn more about the plans. It will be an incredible year. They say that if you want to accomplish a goal, that you have to share that publicly, so I'm going to do that. Over the last 42 years, the freshman 15 has evolved into the freshman 50. So I'm committing to losing at least 20 pounds, and I share this with you. I share this with you so that you can keep me on track. So if you see me walking around, I look a little gaunt, and I'm wearing a sign around my neck that says, "We'll work for food," pay no attention to that. But I also want you to know that I don't have an illness and that I'm not sick because I've lost a little weight. This is my 10th convocation, and I'm more proud to serve as your president than I was even back then. It's an honor and responsibility that I take very seriously. But what makes the experience so special is the opportunity to work alongside the best faculty and staff in higher education. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your unwavering commitment to our students and the mission of this great university. And as a result of our collective efforts, we will have a terrific year. Thank you.